Water spouts are creepy. I don't know what they're gonna be doing here, but we're gonna check it out.
Wang began to encounter rough seas and severe weather. Suddenly, several sailors aboard the ship witnessed a trumpet-shaped funnel cloud slowly descend right above them. This water whirlwind then crashed into the sea right next to their ship. Within a few minutes, several more of these water spouts descended all around them. The captain recalled seeing up to 7 different water spouts at one time.
7 water spouts?
One of these water spouts started acting very strange. It went horizontal halfway down and then proceeded to create an entire loop. The captain stated this: water was spouting up in a continuous stream right up into the cloud. Then the spout became very long, swaying and coiling, almost like a serpent. All at once it made a complete coil and then burst. Great quantities of water poured out of the lower part of the coil, and in a few seconds the whole thing vanished. Soon the water spouts dissipated and the sailors aboard the SS Burwang took a sigh of relief. They had just encountered a natural phenomenon that they had only read about in old scientific texts.
That's like a fantasy fiction book, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't only imagine, dude, just seeing that, where it just came out about like that. As you seen from the intro, water spouts. The topic of it, it's crazy. I mean, I could never imagine being in the ocean and seeing water spouts coming down as if there were water tornadoes. Come on!
They had seen diagrams of ships being buried out at sea by huge swarms of water spouts, and they found out that this can actually occur in real life. But can such a looping water spout really occur? Well, in rare occasions, yes. Take a look at this footage of a similar water spout captured over the Black Sea only a few years back.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, pretty wild. This is one of the strangest whirlwind rope tornadoes I have ever witnessed. Now, while it didn't loop, after watching that footage, I wouldn't be surprised if looping water spouts occur in nature. Water spouts are weird.
It looked like a giant tentacle coming out and just say, "Hey, I'm kind of thirsty. I want some water." That's what they kind of look like, don't it?
They're still a bit of an enigma even to this day. And honestly, there's something that's kind of eerie and creepy about them. And that's what we'll be covering in today's video. We'll be discussing the many different types of water spouts and the observational history of said water spouts. We'll also be going over strange and rare water spout phenomena, including the ultra rare, ultra creepy water spout outbreak / swarm. The earliest accounts of water spouts we have occurred over 2,000 years ago. In Meteorologica, Aristotle was one of the earliest natural philosophers to make theories regarding the origins of water spouts and tornadoes. According to Aristotle, tornadoes and water spouts are caused by wind that is caught inside clouds that moves in a round pattern. A water spout is then created when the wind leaves the cloud and carries the cloud as it descends. Roman authors, such as Pliny the Elder, advanced the early notions proposed by Greek thinkers. For the next several centuries, the theories put forward by the natural philosophers of Greece and Rome dominated the field of meteorology. It wouldn't be until the 17th century that new, more intriguing theories would emerge. According to a theory made popular by French physicist Jean-Charles Peltier, water spouts were a form of electrical phenomena. Not quite sure how he came up with that. Maybe it's because sometimes lightning occurs with water spouts. But this theory was very popular throughout Europe. Even Benjamin Franklin was really into water spouts. He also studied and released theories on them. The curiosities of these strange trumpet-shaped clouds continued to intrigue scientists. But it really wasn't until the modern era that we actually figured out what the heck was going on. So what the heck is actually going on? What causes these water spouts to form? Well, there are two types of water spouts: tornadic water spouts and non-tornadic or fair weather water spouts. Tornadic water spouts are literally just normal tornadoes that occur over water. That is, a tornado that has formed from a mesocyclonic supercell. So technically, if a tornado in Oklahoma crosses a river or a lake, for that brief moment, it's a water spout, a tornadic water spout. Now, non-tornadic or fair weather water spouts are a bit different. They actually don't form from supercell thunderstorms. They occur under very specific water conditions. If water towards the surface of an ocean or a large lake or any body of water is very warm, like 90 degrees Fahrenheit warm, that surface water can actually evaporate and form clouds above the water's surface. Those clouds cool at a slower rate than the surrounding dry air, leading to instability causing an updraft within the cloud. This leads to an
Oh,
inflow of air beneath the cloud and above the surface of the water. Sometimes it kind of starts off as a little mist, a little, above the surface, a little circle in the water. Wind can then
facts.
come from the side, interact with the inflow, forming a vortex and a condensation funnel. And that is your typical fair weather waterspout. The
That makes a lot of sense.
biggest factor in all of this is warm water. For this reason, waterspouts are very common in tropical waters. The Florida Keys sees the most waterspouts, up to 400 a year. It's like one a day. More than one a day. Places like the Mediterranean Sea also see a large amount of waterspouts. The Gulf of Mexico, or is it the Gulf of America? What's it called now? Wikipedia says the Gulf of Mexico, so we're just going to stick with the Gulf of Mexico. But the Gulf of Mexico sees loads of waterspouts all on the Florida coast and up towards the shores of Louisiana.
Yo, imagine you get a giant water spout coming at you like this, bro. You can't escape. You think that you're safe on a land, off land and water, but it can literally swim. Like apparently, tornadoes, water spouts can swim in water. Yeah, we're not surviving, bro. Like you're not surviving.
In Mississippi. Northern areas like the Great Lakes can also see their fair share of waterspouts throughout the late summer and early fall when that water is at its peak temperature. Waterspouts can be quite massive, 100 to 30 feet wide and 2,000 feet tall. That's taller than any building in the US. Wind speeds for fair weather waterspouts are around 70 to 100 miles per hour, similar to an EF0 or EF1 tornado. Obviously, a tornadic waterspout can have wind speeds over 300 miles per hour. Check out this footage of a tornadic waterspout crossing a river.
Oh, that is crazy. Look at all that debris. Those birds. Oh, that's debris.
You do not want to be caught in that. Much more intense than one of these guys. But these guys, these fair weather waterspouts, they can still be quite dangerous and deadly. While the vast majority of waterspouts are weak and never come to shore, some do, and they can really mess up several beach umbrellas. Fair weather waterspouts can also be quite dangerous if you're in a boat. In fact, one of the deadliest tornado events in the past year, in 2024, may have been caused by a waterspout. Tech billionaire Mike Lynch was accused of committing fraud in San Francisco, but after the trial he was acquitted of all charges, and to celebrate, him and a bunch of colleagues and family decided to spend the night of August 18th out on the Mediterranean Sea aboard his luxury yacht, the Bacian.
Ain't that some karma, bro? Ain't that some karma? You convinced about they saying, hey, you're doing fraud. You go to court and they say, hey, we're gonna drop those things. You're like, gotta go celebrate. Be with the honeys on the beach out there on our yacht. Nah, dude, you're not.
Early in the morning around 4 a.m. on August 19th, just off the coast of Sicily, the boat suddenly began to shake. Witnesses on the shore claimed that they had seen a water tornado drop from the sky and strike the boat. The boat then capsized and sank within a few short minutes. Out of the 22 on board, 7 lives were lost, including the tech billionaire himself, Mike Lynch.
That is crazy.
Surprisingly, the 7 victims did not die from drowning. According to their autopsies, they died from asphyxiation as they were trapped within an air bubble within the yacht 100 feet beneath the surface on the floor of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, some officials do believe that the sinking of the yacht was actually caused by a downburst, not a water spout. That's a different, weather phenomenon. Also can be quite dangerous, especially for planes. However, it's worth noting that another nearby yacht was perfectly intact and undamaged from the storm, pointing to a more direct strike on the Bacian. A few years back, I did a video on the deadliest weak tornadoes. One very common factor in these events was water. Being on a boat in high winds is a recipe for disaster. The Whippoorwill disaster on June 17, 1978 saw 16 fatalities when an F1 tornadic waterspout over Lake Pomona in Kansas struck the Whippoorwill showboat, capsizing it. This specific F1 tornado is the deadliest F1 tornado on record. You don't even need a tornado or a waterspout to have a tragic water event. Sometimes just severe thunderstorms can cause a deadly disaster, like the Table Rock Lake duck boat disaster on July 18, 2018. As a derecho hit southern Missouri, a duck boat with 31 people aboard sank, leading to 17 fatalities. Another weak F1 tornado turned waterspout killed 6 individuals on May 26, 1974 over the Waccamaw River in South Carolina. Late in the evening, around 11 p.m., 2 families and 3 children were heading back to the marina. When they were only a quarter mile away from the dock, a waterspout struck their 20-foot boat, capsizing it, leading to 6 of the 7 family members drowning. a very tragic event that has become forgotten over time. So non-tornadic fair weather waterspouts have proven to be dangerous in certain conditions.
Yes.
But they are not nearly as deadly as true mesocyclonic water tornadoes.
Mesocyclonic what? Mesocyclonic what? I can't even say it.
But they are not nearly as deadly as true mesocyclonic water tornadoes. Some of the deadliest tornado events in history were tornadic waterspouts. The deadliest tornado event in all of European history occurred on September 23rd, 1551, when a waterspout struck the Grand Harbor of Malta, destroying several large vessels, resulting in the deaths of over 600 individuals. It was the fifth deadliest tornado event in recorded history. Modern researchers have retroactively given the Grand Harbor tornado a Toro 7 rating, close to an EF3 or an EF4 rating, with wind speeds around 180 miles per hour. An estimated F5 tornado-turned waterspout killed over 300 individuals when a powerful wedge massive tornado destroyed several ships while crossing the Mississippi River near Natchez, Mississippi on May 7, 1840. Overall, 116 boats were destroyed. In the following weeks, remnants from these boats were found over 30 miles away. However, the most iconic waterspout, at least to me, my favorite waterspout, I guess that sounds kind of bad, but I'm talking about the Great Miami Tornado on May 12th, 1997. It was only an F1 tornado, and fortunately, no one died. But check out this footage from a local television station.
Full condensation on the funnel as the whole system here is fully illuminated. So it is moving east to northeast at this point, and it's about to move over the causeway pretty soon. But you can see that's a huge area of water that is now being sprayed up from the water and up into the funnel itself. Behind it, there's a little trail in the water that sort of marks where it has been right there. As it continues to move to the northeast, it's almost ready to go over the Venetian Causeway.
Incredible footage.
Insane.
Also, look how huge it is. Like, look at it compared to the buildings. Seriously, a beautiful tornado. And this
Yeah. I mean, it's that huge. Like, you gotta think about tornado. It's bigger than you go to a city and you see one of your tallest skyscrapers right here, smack dab, right there. You look up and you see something bigger than that, and it can suck you up. You think you about to be sitting? Nah, bro.
image of the tornado over downtown Miami is wild. Let's move on to the next section. Rare waterspout phenomena. Of course, we've already talked about that looping horizontal waterspout witnessed on the...
My bad, waterspouts. Whether it's a tornado or waterspouts, it's still the same thing. It's crazy to even fathom how powerful these things are.
SS Burwang, but there are other enigmatic phenomena associated with these strange water tornadoes. For example, multi-walled waterspouts. Multi-walled waterspouts refer to waterspouts that seem to have several inner funnels. These are observed somewhat frequently, but are still kind of rare. There have also been reports of forked waterspouts, although there's not much credibility to these reports. One example comes from a sighting of a forked waterspout in the South China Sea on May 19th, 1967. A much more likely scenario is that there was two waterspouts and one of them was kind of hidden behind the other and it like forked out, and then from a certain vantage point it looked like a forking waterspout. Although there is footage of two waterspouts joining together at the base.
Oh. Oh, wow.
And there are twin waterspouts. So it's not super crazy to think that somewhere along the line they converged into one, creating a sort of forked waterspout, but perhaps more of an upside down forked waterspout. One of the craziest waterspout phenomena that I had read about were two separate reports of waterspout funnels connecting between two different cumulus clouds. It's way more likely that these were just clouds in between the two clouds that kind of looked like waterspouts, like maybe like a scud cloud or something. Although seeing something like this would look pretty sweet. Some other rare waterspout phenomena include this photo of what appears to be a luminous waterspout, aka a waterspout that's glowing in the dark.
Wow.
This would be crazy to witness. I mean, can you imagine sitting on a beach and seeing a glowing tornado on the horizon over the waters? That would be crazy. I don't know.
Anything at night is crazy, scary when you think of it. Something big, scary, they can take your life like that, dude. Yeah.
I don't know what is going on in this photo, but technically this could be possible. Like if a waterspout picked up a bunch of creatures that have bioluminescence, the tornado would glow.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. There's also triple waterspouts. These look terrifying. They look kind of like a, like a Cthulhu kind of situation, a monster tentacles up above the clouds.
Yes.
Kind of like War of the Worlds. I'm getting War of the World vibes with this, like the little tripods. Those, okay. This is now the creepiest form of nature. But speaking of triple waterspouts, probably the most creepy form of waterspout phenomena are waterspout swarms, or clusters. One of the earliest depictions of a waterspout swarm included over 30 different waterspouts. Near the Bahamas on February 12, 1888, Captain Richard J. Gray from the British steamship Ernmore saw a misty circle over the water near his ship. This misty circle occurred under cloudy skies, but the weather was, in general, pretty tame. Suddenly, what appeared to be a large column of water formed over the circle and rose high into the sky until it reached the cloud base. It was a classic example of a waterspout. But after this waterspout, another waterspout formed on the other side of the ship, and then another one after that. Soon they began forming all around, and in the end, Gray had claimed that he had witnessed over 30 different waterspouts in the span of only a few hours. And he wasn't alone. 20 waterspouts were observed by a nearby Norwegian steamship. In fact, swarms of waterspouts have been observed for hundreds of years. Many historical depictions showcase long rows of waterspouts striking and capsizing ships. According to history, these waterspout swarms seem to happen quite often. So what exactly is going on? Does such a natural phenomenon actually exist? Are there modern accounts of waterspout outbreaks like this? Yes. And let's be real, the idea of these waterspout swarms can be quite creepy. If you live on the coast or if you're on a ship out at sea, seeing something like this off in the distance, it's got some nightmarish vibes to it. The fact that they're just kind of there lingering, needle fingers sticking out of the clouds on the... I don't know. It's pretty creepy. In fact, the 2011 horror film Take Shelter features several apocalyptic scenes featuring the formation of dozens of waterspouts off in the distance, slowly approaching the shore. So yeah, they're definitely creepy. But how do they form? Well, if conditions are just right, waterspout development can explode. For example, let's take a look at the Great Lakes waterspout outbreak that occurred in late September, early October 2003. Many waterspouts occurred over the course of a few days, but on one day in particular, October 2nd, 21 waterspouts occurred around the same time. What's interesting though is this event was actually predicted to occur. During this time of the year, the waters of the Great Lakes are at their peak temperature, close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This is from all the summer heating. So one, you have warm waters. Two, a major cold front was coming in from the northwest. And this stream of cold air crossed directly over the Great Lakes, and with this cold stream came a lot of atmospheric instability. Throughout the course of a few days, there were a few waterspouts that would form every once in a while, but there was one additional factor that created a waterspout swarm in a specific location. On October 2nd, over Lake Ontario, a converging line of embedded thunderstorms and showers had formed. Meanwhile, above the lake, a surface trough was heading south from Ontario. Radar showed the development of a strong convergence line when these two features interacted. This line of thunderstorms produced at least 21 waterspouts. Most of the waterspouts occurred and dissipated over the lake, but a few did make it to shore, and one even caused a bit of damage. Good news though, while there were a ton of waterspouts in a line looking scary beyond belief, they were all very weak and thin. So essentially they were harmless. The Great Lakes does have a long history of waterspout swarms and outbreaks. A photo of 12 simultaneous waterspouts was captured over Lake Huron in the 1980s. I couldn't find this photo, but apparently it's like the record for the most simultaneous waterspouts ever captured in one photo. But the Great Lakes isn't the only location where these waterspout outbreaks occur. Only a few years ago, a Finnish border guard member reported seeing up to 7 waterspouts at once off the northern portion of Åland, a series of islands off the southwest coast of Finland. There were quadruple waterspouts in Zambron, Italy on August 5th, 2020, and another major waterspout outbreak took place early in the morning on Sunday, January 21st, 2018 off the coast of Corfu, an island of Greece. But my favorite waterspout swarm event ever was captured by Frank Lede on August 20th, 2020. This event occurred out in the Gulf of Mexico near Louisiana, and this photo right here is one of the craziest captures of any natural phenomenon that I've ever seen. What's crazy and different about this waterspout cluster when compared to others is just how close they all are to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so close. I would hate to be in a boat caught in the middle of that. That would
Yeah, you just gonna be sinking, and I don't know what to do. What can you do? You don't want to be stuck in the water because then you're in like a little whirlwind of like, well, how would you say it? Like in a like a pool of whirlpool, basically, that you will be stuck in. And then if you try to stay up top, bro, you're not surviving that with those amount of clusters.
That would be terrifying and not good. Maybe those historic depictions has some truth to them. I
Yeah,
mean, shipping, like boats were really common back in the day because they didn't have planes.
that's
So there
true.
was a lot of boats out there, and I mean, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
Definitely an insane thing to capture on film. This was also, by the way, 80 miles off the coast, so this was like out at sea. Knowing that, this sort of phenomenon probably actually occurs all the time out in the middle of the ocean, and there's
hmm
just no one there to witness them.
The wonders, the unknown, man, is unbelievable and scary. You just never know.
Fortunately, waterspout outbreaks or clusters appear to be quite tame. Usually, the more waterspouts, the weaker they are. So, if you live on the coast, if you live on a boat, you can sleep soundly through the night. I mean, you still want to
No.
look at your weather in case there's a hurricane or something coming, but you can sleep through the night and not worry about waterspout swarms.
Anyways, that is about it. If you guys enjoyed, man, the video and you want to see more on this channel, KJ Everything will be about crazy, cool, factual stuff, things we're learning, just cool things. I figured just put it a lot more towards this channel so it can have something purposeful to it. And yeah, and we're gonna continue to do what we do on the main channel. So if you guys have came over from my main channel, this is where we be doing the cool, crazy stuff like the tornadoes down to civilization, learning cultural stuff, all the different things like that, and making it fun and entertaining while we still learning new things and venturing into cool stuff. Anyways, see you on the next one. Peace.